They made her read her own resignation in front of 30 people, behind glass walls where everyone could watch. Dr. Nadine Carter, the first black woman CEO in the company's century-long history, was supposed to smile, stay professional, and disappear quietly. 11 months of proving herself, 11 months of being perfect, and they fired her like she was nothing. But what Richard Holm and his board didn't know was that the dying founder had given her something 3 months earlier, something that would turn their boardroom into her courtroom. Subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from, because what happens next will restore your faith in justice. Nadine woke at 5. The alarm had not rung yet. Her body knew the rhythm before her mind did. She dressed in the dark and stepped into the cool morning air. Her sneakers hit the pavement in steady beats. The streets were empty. The sky held that gray promise of dawn. Her breath came harder on the 3rd mile. She pushed through it. Pain was familiar. Pain could be controlled. Back home, she showered and made coffee. The ritual steadied her. She straightened the framed photo on her desk. Her parents looked back at her, young, proud, determined. "You didn't get this far to stop now," she said. The words felt hollow. Nadine felt tired, not the kind that sleep fixed, the kind that lived in her bones. She opened her laptop. The inbox loaded. Most messages were routine, budget approvals, meeting confirmations. Then one email appeared at the top. Subject: Q4 alignment and leadership review, attendance required from Richard Holm, board chair. She read it twice. The language was formal, cold. Attendance required sat heavy on the screen. "It's just a quarterly review," she said aloud. But her chest tightened. She had been the first black woman CEO of Holm & Carter Logistics for 11 months. 11 months of proving herself, of being watched, of knowing that every decision was scrutinized in ways her predecessors never faced. The company was over a century old. The walls held portraits of white men in suits. Their eyes followed her through every hallway. Edward Holm, the founder's grandson, had hired her. He said he wanted change, real change. But Edward was dying now. His son Richard ran the board. Richard smiled at her in meetings. He used her name in press releases. He called her a tremendous asset when investors asked about diversity. But his eyes never warmed. Nadine closed the laptop slowly. She stared at her parents' photo again. Her father had marched in Selma. Her mother had integrated her school district. "You marched so I wouldn't have to run," she whispered. But something in the email made her want to run. She poured another cup of coffee. Her hands were steady. Her mind was not. The morning light filled her kitchen. Outside, the city began to wake. Cars hummed past. A dog barked somewhere down the block. Nadine felt the gathering storm before she could name it. She dressed for work. Navy suit, pearl earrings, the armor of professionalism. She checked her reflection in the mirror. Confident, composed, in control, but the tightness in her chest remained. She picked up her briefcase and keys. The email notification chimed again on her phone. A reminder: tomorrow, 10 a.m., mandatory. "What exactly do they think needs aligning?" she asked the empty room. No answer came. She left for the office, sensing that tomorrow would change everything. The headquarters rose 30 stories. Glass and steel caught the morning sun. Beautiful. Cold. Nadine walked through the main entrance. The security guard glanced at her badge twice. He had worked here for 5 years. He still checked her badge twice. "Morning, Dr. Carter," he said. His voice was careful, polite, distant. "Good morning, James." She moved toward the elevators. A group of white executives stood waiting. They greeted each other by first names. Warm, familiar. They nodded at Nadine. She nodded back. The elevator ride was silent. On the executive floor, her assistant Marcus handed her a coffee. Black, no sugar. He knew her routine. "Leadership huddle in 10 minutes, he said. "Thank you, Marcus." She entered the conference room. Richard sat at the head of the table. Miguel Alvarez, the CFO, sat to his right. Harold Lynn, operations director, sat near the middle. Grace Holloway, the executive assistant who had worked here longer than anyone, stood near the door with her tablet. "Good morning, Nadine," Richard said. His voice was smooth, practiced. "Good morning." She took her seat. The chair felt smaller than it should. The meeting began. Budget projections, market analysis, strategic initiatives. Nadine presented her plan to expand distribution routes in underserved communities. The numbers were solid. The social impact was clear. "That's an interesting perspective," Richard said. He paused. The silence stretched. "What I think Nadine is really suggesting," Richard said, "is that we need smarter logistics partnerships in emerging markets." He rephrased her entire proposal, made it his. The others nodded. Nadine felt anger rise in her throat. She swallowed it. She smiled. Professional. Accommodating. "Yes, that's exactly right," she said. Her voice was steady. Her hands gripped the folder in her lap. Grace watched from the doorway. Her eyes were sympathetic. Knowing. Miguel stared at his papers too long. He shifted in his seat. His discomfort was visible. He said nothing. The meeting ended 30 minutes later. Richard stood first. He always stood first. "Nadine, a quick word?" Her stomach tightened. They moved to the corner of the room. The others filed out slowly. Grace lingered near the door. "Tomorrow's review," Richard said. "Just want to make sure we're all aligned." "Of course." "Good. It's important that leadership presents a unified front." His eyes found hers. Cold. Measuring. "We've invested a lot in your success here," he said. The words felt wrong. Threatening. "I appreciate the opportunity," Nadine said. "I'm sure you do." He smiled. It did not reach his eyes. He left. Nadine stood alone in the conference room. The glass walls showed her reflection. She looked small. Isolated. Grace appeared beside her. "Are you all right?" Grace asked. "I'm fine." "That review tomorrow." "It's routine," Nadine said. Grace's expression shifted. Something moved behind her careful neutrality. "If you say so," Grace said quietly. Nadine returned to her office. She prepared slides for tomorrow. Market performance, team metrics, strategic vision. Everything was strong. The numbers proved it. At 4 p.m., a notification appeared on her screen. Richard's assistant had requested access to her presentation file. Then the permissions changed. View only. Nadine's breath caught. She saved a printed copy immediately. She filed it in her desk drawer. Her phone buzzed. Another reminder. Leadership review. Tomorrow 10 a.m. She stared at the screen. The office felt colder, smaller. Tomorrow was not routine. She knew that now. Miguel knocked on her door at 2 p.m. He carried a laptop and a folder. His tie was loosened. "Do you have a minute?" he asked. "Of course. Come in." He sat across from her desk. He opened the laptop but did not look at the screen. "I wanted to review the Q4 projections," he said. "All right." They went through the numbers. Revenue was up. Costs were controlled. The trajectory was positive. Miguel's eyes kept moving to the window, to the door, anywhere but her face. "Miguel, what is it?" she asked. He closed the laptop. "Nothing. Just making sure we're prepared for tomorrow." "The review?" "Yes." The silence hung between them. "Did Richard ask you to check these numbers?" Nadine asked. Miguel's jaw tightened. "He mentioned he wanted everything buttoned up." "I see." Nadine felt the weight of his discomfort. He was a good man, a careful man. He had a family, a mortgage. He could not afford to take risks. She understood that. She did not blame him. "The numbers are solid, Miguel. You know that." "I do," he said. His voice was quiet, almost apologetic. He left 10 minutes later. Nadine watched him walk down the hall. His shoulders were tight. His steps were measured. She returned to her computer. She reviewed the board email again. Alignment and leadership review. The words felt heavier each time she read them. At 3:30, Tasha Reed appeared at her door. Young, bright, nervous. "Dr. Carter, do you have a second?" "Of course, Tasha. Come in." Tasha stepped inside. She held a folder against her chest. "I just wanted to say thank you," Tasha said. "For what?" "The flexible schedule policy. You pushed for it. It's made everything possible for me. My daughter's daycare, my classes. I wanted you to know it matters." Nadine felt something crack in her chest. Warmth, gratitude, fear. "You're doing excellent work, Tasha. You've earned it. I don't think everyone sees it that way." Tasha's voice was careful. She glanced at the door. "What do you mean?" Nadine asked. "Nothing. Just thank you." She left quickly. Nadine sat in the quiet. People depended on her, not just for their careers, for their lives, for their dignity. If she fell, they would feel it. The pressure settled on her shoulders. At 4:30, a calendar notification appeared. Access change, leadership review presentation. Richard's assistant had overwritten the file permissions. Nadine opened the shared folder. Her slides were gone, replaced with a different version. Simpler. Stripped of her strategic vision. Her hands tightened on the mouse. She pulled out the printed copy from her drawer. She held it. Solid. Real. Hers. "They're rewriting the story," she said aloud. She saved another backup. She sent a copy to her personal email. Small acts of self-protection. The office was emptying. People said goodnight. The floor grew quiet. Nadine stared at the email one more time. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. Mandatory. She closed her laptop. She gathered her things. She left. The elevator descended in silence. Outside, the evening air was cool. The city moved around her, indifferent, relentless. Nadine walked to her car. She sat in the driver's seat. She did not start the engine. Her phone buzzed. A text from Grace. "Be careful tomorrow." Nadine's chest tightened. She typed back. "I will." But she did not believe it. Grace arrived at Nadine's office at 8:30 the next morning. She carried a folder. Her expression was careful, deliberate. "Good morning, Dr. Carter." "Good morning, Grace." Grace closed the door. She rarely closed doors. She set the folder on Nadine's desk. "I printed these last night," Grace said. Nadine opened the folder. Her original slides. Complete, unchanged. "How did you—" "Files have a way of disappearing when certain people feel threatened," Grace said. Her voice was quiet, steady. She had worked here for 38 years. She had seen everything. "Thank you," Nadine said. "You'll need them." Grace's eyes found hers. Something unspoken passed between them. A warning. A solidarity. "Grace, what do you know about today?" The silence stretched. Grace's hands folded in front of her. Professional. Contained. "I know that when men feel their power slipping, they don't fight fair," Grace said. "And you think that's what this is?" "I think Edward trusted you. I think his son resents that." Nadine felt the truth of it. Edward had come to her 6 months ago. Late evening. Private. He said he was proud of what she was doing. He said she had his full support. He died 3 weeks later. Richard had smiled at the funeral. He shook her hand. He said they would honor his father's legacy together. But the warmth had died with Edward. "Be ready for anything today," Grace said. She left. Nadine sat with the printed slides. She felt grateful. She felt afraid. At 9:15, Harold appeared. He knocked softly. His face was drawn. "Nadine, you have a minute?" "Yes. Sit down." Harold sat. He rubbed his temples. He looked older than his 55 years. "I need to tell you something," he said. "All right." "The plant budgets. They've been cut again. 3rd time this year. Safety equipment, maintenance, training." "I wasn't informed of that," Nadine said. "I know. The approvals came from Richard directly, off the normal channels." Nadine's stomach tightened. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because there was an incident last month, a near miss, and they told me to quiet it, said it would create unnecessary panic." His voice was strained. Guilty. "Harold, that's a violation of—" I know what it is." The silence hung heavy. "I should have pushed back," Harold said. "I didn't. I told myself I had 2 years until retirement. I couldn't afford trouble. And now I'm telling you, because if something happens to someone on that floor, I won't be able to live with myself." Nadine felt the weight of his confession, the fear, the shame. "Thank you for trusting me," she said. Harold nodded. He stood. He left without another word. Nadine sat alone. The pieces were forming a picture: budget cuts, safety shortcuts, quiet suppression of incidents. This was not just about her. This was systemic. At 9:45, her computer chimed. A new notification. "All company announcement, emergency leadership alignment, 10 a.m. today, mandatory attendance." Nadine's breath caught. The word emergency had not been there before. Her phone buzzed. "Miguel, did you see the new notification?" She typed back. "Yes, this doesn't feel right." "I know." She stood. She smoothed her suit. She gathered the printed slides. She took a breath. Her reflection stared back from the window. Composed. Professional. Terrified. She walked to the door. The hallway was filling with people, hushed conversations, curious glances. Everyone was watching. Nadine felt the weight of their eyes. She walked toward the executive conference room. The glass walls glittered in the morning light. She could see Richard inside. He stood at the head of the table. He was smiling. "What exactly are they aligning?" she whispered. No answer came. Only the sound of her heels on the floor. Only the gathering of bodies in the hallway. Only the certainty that the storm had arrived. The executive floor buzzed with tension. People clustered near the glass-walled conference room. They pretended to work. They watched. Nadine walked through the crowd. Their eyes followed her. She kept her chin up, her pace steady. Marcus met her at the door. His face was tight. "Dr. Carter, they moved your seat," he whispered. "Where?" "End of the table, away from the board." Her stomach dropped. She nodded. She said nothing. Richard stood inside. He wore a charcoal suit. His tie was perfectly knotted. His expression was warm, practiced, false. "Nadine, good morning. Please come in." His voice carried across the room, loud enough for everyone outside to hear. She entered. The room was full. Board members, senior leadership, HR, even junior staff she had never seen at these meetings. This was not a review. This was theater. Richard pulled out a chair at the far end of the table, away from the power center, away from the board. "Here, let me get that for you," he said. His smile was generous, condescending. "Thank you," Nadine said. She sat, The leather felt cold. The distance felt intentional. Miguel entered 3 minutes late. His tie was crooked. His face was pale. He glanced at Nadine. His eyes said, "I'm sorry." He took a seat in the middle. Not beside her, not beside Richard. Neutral ground. Grace stood near the back wall. She held her tablet. Her expression was unreadable. Harold sat near the window. He stared at his hands. The room filled. 20 people. Maybe more. All of them waiting. Richard called the meeting to order. He tapped his pen against the table. The sound was sharp. Commanding. "Thank you all for gathering on such short notice," Richard said. His voice was grave, measured. "We're here today to discuss a matter of significant importance to this organization, a matter of leadership, of alignment, of our shared values." Nadine's chest tightened. The words sounded rehearsed. "As you know, we've been conducting a thorough evaluation of our executive team, performance metrics, cultural fit, strategic vision." He paused. The silence stretched. "And after careful consideration, the board has identified some areas of concern." Nadine felt the room shift. People leaned forward. Anticipation hung in the air. Richard's eyes found hers. Cold. Deliberate. "Dr. Carter has served this company with distinction. We're grateful for her contributions. But leadership requires more than good intentions. It requires alignment." The word again. Alignment. "And unfortunately, we've determined that Dr. Carter's vision for the company no longer aligns with our shareholders' interests." The words landed. Hard. Final. Nadine heard gasps. Whispers. The room was watching her, waiting for her reaction. She did not move. She did not speak. Richard slid a folder across the table. It stopped in front of her. "We've prepared a statement," he said. "A joint announcement. We thought it would be appropriate for you to read it, to maintain dignity, professionalism." Nadine opened the folder. Her hands were steady. Her heart was pounding. The statement was 1 page, typed, official. "After a period of thoughtful reflection, I have decided to step down as CEO of Holm & Carter Logistics, effective immediately. I am grateful for the opportunity to serve this organization and wish the board continued success." Her breath caught. They wanted her to narrate her own firing, to smile, to comply, to disappear quietly. A junior HR manager stood near her chair. His hand hovered near her elbow, as if she might need to be escorted out, as if she were a problem to be managed. Outside the glass walls, faces pressed closer. Everyone was watching. Nadine felt humiliation rise in her throat, hot, sharp. She folded the paper slowly. She slipped it into her blazer pocket. She did not read it. She met Richard's eyes. "You might want to hold your decisions for the next 10 minutes, she said quietly. Her voice was steady, calm, certain. Richard's smile faltered. Confusion flashed across his face. "I'm sorry?" he asked. "I said, you might want to wait." She stood. The chair scraped against the floor. The sound cut through the silence. Every eye in the room was on her. Nadine walked toward the door. She did not run. She did not cry. She walked. Past Richard. Past Miguel. Past the HR manager who stepped back quickly. She pushed open the glass door. The hallway was packed. People parted for her. She felt every stare, every whisper, every judgment. Her pulse roared in her ears. She kept walking. The hallway stretched forever. Nadine walked. One foot, then the other. People stood frozen, watching, whispering. She heard fragments. "Did she just... What happened in there?" "I heard she was fired." Nadine kept her chin up, her shoulders back, professional, composed, dying inside. Her office was 30 feet away. It felt impossible. A young analyst stepped back as she passed. His eyes were wide, afraid, as if failure were contagious. Nadine felt shame burn through her chest. Hot. Relentless. She had spent 11 months proving herself. 11 months being perfect, careful, strategic. And they fired her anyway. No, not fired. Humiliated. They made it public. They made it theater. They wanted everyone to see. She reached her office. She closed the door. Her hands shook. She stood in the center of the room, her desk, her books, her parents' photo staring at her. "You marched so I wouldn't have to run," she whispered. But she wanted to run. She wanted to disappear. The door opened. Grace stepped inside. She carried a napkin, a glass of water. "Sit down," Grace said softly. "I'm fine." "Sit down, Dr. Carter." Nadine sat. Grace handed her the water. She drank. The cold steadied her. "They're spreading it already," Grace said. "The story, that you resigned voluntarily, that it was mutual." "It wasn't mutual." "I know." Nadine felt tears push at her eyes. She blinked them back. "Not here, not now." "I gave them everything," Nadine said. "I worked twice as hard. I proved every metric. I stayed professional when they—" Her voice broke. Grace's hand touched her shoulder. Steady. Grounding. "This isn't over if you don't let it be," Grace said. Nadine looked up. Grace's eyes were fierce. Knowing. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you have options, if you're willing to fight." "Grace, I just got fired in front of 30 people." "You got ambushed. There's a difference." The words settled. Nadine's breath slowed. Her mind began to clear. She remembered. 6 months ago. Edward Holm in her office. Late. Private. He looked tired. Sick. "I'm proud of what you're doing here," Edward had said. "But my son doesn't see it. He never will." "What do you mean?" "I mean I'm taking steps to make sure the company doesn't slide backward when I'm gone." Edward. "There are papers, legal protections. You'll need them." He had not explained further. She thought he was rambling. Dying men sometimes did. But what if he wasn't? Nadine stood. She pulled out her phone. She scrolled to her attorney's number. "What are you doing?" Grace asked. "I'm calling someone. I need to know what Edward meant." Grace nodded. She moved toward the door. "Grace?" "Yes?" "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. This is going to get worse before it gets better." Grace left. Nadine dialed. The phone rang twice. "Nadine, I heard," her attorney said. His voice was cautious. "Marcus, I need you to come to my house. Tonight. There's something I need to understand." "What is it?" "Edward Holm, before he died. He mentioned papers. Legal protections. Do you know what he was talking about?" The silence on the line stretched. "Yes," Marcus said finally. "I do." "Then I need to see them. Today." "Nadine, are you sure? Once you go down this road—" "They humiliated me in front of everyone. They wrote my resignation for me. I'm already down the road." "All right. I'll be there at 6. She hung up. She sat in her office. The glass walls showed her reflection. Smaller now. Defeated. But something had shifted. The shame was still there. But anger was rising beneath it. They thought she would disappear quietly. They thought she had no options. They were wrong. Nadine looked at her parents' photo, her father's strong jaw, her mother's steady eyes. "You marched so I wouldn't have to run," she said again. "I won't run." She gathered her briefcase. She walked to the door. She glanced back at the office one last time. Then she left. The hallway was empty now. The show was over. People had returned to their desks. But Nadine knew the real fight was just beginning. Nadine drove home in silence. The city blurred past her windows. She did not turn on the radio. She did not cry. She felt numb. Empty. Exhausted. Her phone buzzed constantly. Texts, emails, news alerts. She ignored them all. At home, she dropped her briefcase by the door. She poured a glass of wine. She did not drink it. She sat at her kitchen table. The evening light filled the room. Gold, fading. Her phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen. A news headline. Holman Carter CEO steps down amid strategic realignment. Strategic realignment. The words made her sick. Another text. Miguel. I'm sorry. I should have said something, she typed back. Not your fault. But part of her wanted to blame him, wanted to blame everyone who stayed silent. At 6 p.m., her doorbell rang. She opened it. Marcus stood on the porch. He carried a leather briefcase. His expression was serious. Come in, she said. They sat in her living room. Marcus opened the briefcase. He pulled out a folder. Thick. Official. Edward came to me 3 months before he died, Marcus said. He was concerned about Richard, about the direction of the company. What did he do? Marcus slid the folder across the coffee table. Nadine opened it. Legal documents, signatures, transfers. She read slowly. Her breath caught. He gave me controlling interest, she whispered. Not directly. He restructured the shares, created a trust, named you as the trustee with full decision-making authority. It was his way of protecting the company from Richard. Nadine stared at the papers. Her hands trembled. Does Richard know? No. Edward kept it private. He wanted you to have the option to use it if things went wrong. If things went wrong, Nadine repeated. They went wrong today. Marcus leaned forward. His voice was careful. Nadine, you need to understand what this means. If you assert this authority, it will be messy, public. Richard will fight. The board will fight. It won't be quiet. They didn't give me quiet today. I know, but there's another option. We can negotiate. A settlement, a payout. You walk away with dignity and financial security. No fight, no headlines. Nadine looked at the papers, then at her parents' photo on the mantel. She thought of Grace, of Harold's confession, of Tasha thanking her for flexible schedules. She thought of the plant workers, the safety shortcuts, the incidents that were hushed. If she walked away, nothing would change. Richard would continue. The culture would rot further, and she would carry the shame of that silence for the rest of her life. What happens to the workers if I leave? She asked. Marcus hesitated. That's not your responsibility anymore. It is. It always was. She stood. She walked to the window. The street was quiet, peaceful, ordinary, but her world had shattered today, and now she had a choice. Run or stand. I'm not negotiating behind closed doors, Nadine said. I'm not taking a settlement to make this disappear. Nadine, they humiliated me publicly. They wanted everyone to see me fail, to see that even the first black woman CEO couldn't make it, that we don't belong. Her voice was shaking now, angry. If I walk away quietly, that's the story. That's what people will remember. That's what young women will believe is inevitable. She turned to face Marcus. Her eyes were fierce. But if I use this, if I confront them, if I show them that their corruption has consequences, then maybe the story changes. Marcus nodded slowly. It will cost you, emotionally, professionally. They'll attack you harder. They already attacked me. I have nothing left to lose except my integrity. The silence stretched between them. All right, Marcus said. Then we fight. Nadine sat back down. They reviewed the documents, the legal strategy, the timeline. It would take days to notify the board, to assert her authority, to demand an audit. But she would do it. All of it. When Marcus left, Nadine stood alone in her living room. The evening had turned to night. The house was dark. She walked to her desk. She looked at her parents' photo. "You marched so I wouldn't have to run," she said. "I won't run." She placed the legal documents beside the photo. A promise, a commitment. She felt afraid. She felt determined. Tomorrow, the real battle would begin. Nadine woke at dawn. She had barely slept. Her mind replayed yesterday, the boardroom, the statement, the walk through the hallway. She showered, she dressed, navy suit, pearl earrings, the armor. Her phone showed 37 unread messages. She scrolled through them. Condolences, questions, offers of coffee. A few said, "I'm so sorry." Others said, "What happened?" No one said, "They were wrong." She put the phone down. She made coffee. The ritual steadied her. At 8 a.m., Marcus called. "I've drafted the notice to the board, asserting your controlling interest, requesting an emergency audit." "Send it." "Are you sure? Once this goes out—" "Send it, Marcus." "All right. It will hit their inboxes within the hour." She hung up. She sat at her kitchen table, waiting, preparing. Her phone buzzed. A text from Grace. "I heard something. Can we talk?" Nadine called her. Grace answered immediately. "What is it?" Nadine asked. "Richard called an executive meeting this morning, without you. He's spinning the narrative, saying you were erratic, unstable, that the board had no choice." Nadine's jaw tightened. "He's lying." "I know, but people are listening. Some are believing it." "What else?" Grace hesitated. "He's offering Miguel your position, interim CEO, contingent on Miguel signing a statement supporting the board's decision." Nadine felt the ground shift. Miguel, her CFO, her ally. "Has Miguel agreed?" "I don't know, but he's in Richard's office now." Nadine closed her eyes. She felt betrayed. She felt alone. "Grace, I need something from you. Anything. You've been here 38 years. You've seen everything. Do you have records? Documents? Anything that shows patterns of discrimination or misconduct?" The silence stretched. "Yes," Grace said finally. "I've been saving things for years, just in case." "Can you bring them to me? Off-site? Somewhere private?" "When?" "Today, as soon as possible. I'll meet you at the diner on Oak Street, 1 p.m. "Thank you, Grace." "Dr. Carter, be careful. They're scared now. Scared people are dangerous." The call ended. Nadine sat in the quiet. Her coffee grew cold. At 9:30, her phone buzzed. An email notification. From Richard. Subject: Leadership Transition, Clarity and Transparency. She opened it. The message was addressed to the entire company. "Dear team, yesterday we made the difficult decision to part ways with Dr. Nadine Carter as CEO. This decision was made in the best interests of the company and our shareholders. We wish Dr. Carter well in her future endeavors. Effective immediately, Miguel Alvarez will serve as interim CEO. Please join me in congratulating Miguel and supporting him during this transition." Nadine felt sick. They had moved fast, decisive, coordinated. Another email appeared. From Miguel. Private, just to her. "Nadine, I need to explain. Please call me." She stared at the message. Her hands shook. She did not call him. Instead, she texted Marcus. "Did the notice go out?" "Yes. 10 minutes ago. The board should have it now. Good." She stood. She grabbed her coat. She left the house. The drive to the diner took 20 minutes. The morning was cold, gray. The world felt smaller. At the diner, she chose a booth in the back, away from the windows. She ordered coffee. She did not drink it. At 1 p.m., Grace arrived. She carried a worn file box. She set it on the table carefully. "This is 30 years of documentation," Grace said. "Emails, memos, performance reviews, incident reports, things that disappeared from the official records." Nadine opened the box. Papers, folders, evidence. She pulled out a memo. Complaint filed by Maria Gonzalez, hostile work environment. The complaint detailed harassment, discrimination. It was dated 5 years ago. What happened to Maria? Nadine asked. She was laid off 3 months later. They said it was budget cuts. Nadine felt anger tighten her chest. She pulled out another document. Safety Incident Report, Plant 4, Equipment Failure. The report detailed a near miss, recommendations for repairs, stamped Deferred, Cost Prohibitive. How many incidents like this? Nadine asked. Dozens, maybe more. Nadine's breath caught. This was not just about her. This was systemic, institutional, deadly. Why did you save all of this? Nadine asked. Grace's eyes were fierce, sad. Because I knew someday someone would need it, someone who cared enough to use it. I hoped it would be you. Nadine felt something shift in her chest. She was not alone. She had allies. She had evidence. She closed the box. We're going to use this, Nadine said, but not to burn it all down, to rebuild it right. Grace nodded. What do you need from me? Your testimony. When the time comes, are you willing? Grace's hands tightened on the table. She was 63, close to retirement. She could lose everything. But she met Nadine's eyes. Yes, Grace said, I'm willing. They sat together. Two women, decades apart, united by something stronger than fear. Outside, the city moved on. Indifferent, relentless. But inside the diner, a plan was forming. Nadine left with the box. She drove home. She carried it inside like it was sacred. That evening she sat at her kitchen table. She opened the documents one by one. Each page was a story, a life, an injustice. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Dr. Carter, this is Tasha Reed. I heard what happened. I have data, promotion patterns, review disparities, demographics. I don't know if it helps, but I want you to have it. Nadine's hands trembled. She typed back. Thank you. Can you send it securely? Yes. I'll encrypt it. Nadine felt hope rise. Small, fragile, real. Her phone buzzed again. Miguel, please, I need to explain what happened this morning. She stared at the message. She wanted to ignore it. She wanted to hate him. But she needed to know. She called him. He answered immediately. Nadine, I'm so sorry, Miguel said. His voice was broken. What did you do? Richard offered me the CEO position. He said if I supported the board's decision publicly, they'd make it permanent. He said I could protect my family, my future. And I said I needed time to think. That's not a no, Miguel. The silence stretched. I know, he said quietly. But it's not a yes either. Nadine closed her eyes. She felt tired. She felt betrayed. What do you want from me? She asked. I want to know if there's another way, a way to do the right thing without losing everything. Nadine thought of Grace, of Tasha, of Harold, of the plant workers. There is, she said, but it requires courage. I'm listening. Meet me tomorrow, off-site. I'll explain everything. She hung up. She sat in the quiet. The battle lines were forming. Some would stand with her. Some would fall away. But she was not fighting alone anymore. Nadine looked at her parents' photo. She touched the frame gently. You marched so I wouldn't have to run, she whispered. I'm standing. Tomorrow the real fight would begin. Nadine woke before dawn again. The ritual was the same. Coffee, her parents' photo, the armor of professionalism. But today was different. Today she was not running. She drove to a small law office across town. Marcus met her in a windowless conference room. Papers covered the table, legal briefs, transfer documents, Edward's handwritten letter. The board received the notice at 9 yesterday, Marcus said. No response yet. They're strategizing, Nadine said. Yes, and they'll come back hard. We need to be ready. Nadine sat. She felt calm, focused. The humiliation had burned away. What remained was clarity. What's our next move? She asked. We notify them of your controlling interest. We demand a formal audit of financials and HR practices. We prepare for litigation. How long? Weeks, maybe months. They'll fight every step. Nadine thought of the workers, the safety incidents, the discrimination. Months felt too long. What if we go public? She asked. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Public how? A town hall, internal. I address the employees directly. I show them the evidence. I force the board to respond openly. That's risky. You'll lose the element of surprise. I don't want surprise. I want transparency. Marcus leaned back. He studied her. You're not doing this for revenge. No, I'm doing it for the people who can't fight back. The silence stretched between them. All right, Marcus said, but we do it strategically. We gather more evidence first. We identify allies. We build an airtight case. How? You tell me. Who here has seen enough to be willing to speak? If they knew they weren't alone, Nadine thought. Grace, Tasha, Harold, maybe Miguel, maybe others she had not yet found. I can think of a few, she said. Then start there. Quietly. Build trust. Document everything. Nadine nodded. She felt something shift. This was not just about her anymore. This was about building something better. She left the office at 9. She drove to a coffee shop near the headquarters. Neutral ground. Public enough to feel safe, private enough to talk. She texted Grace. Can you meet? Same place as yesterday. 10 a.m., Grace responded immediately. Yes. Nadine ordered coffee. She waited. The morning crowd thinned. She watched the door. Grace arrived at 10. She carried her tablet. She sat across from Nadine. How are you holding up? Grace asked. I'm standing. That's enough for now. Grace's eyes softened. What do you need? I need to know who else has seen what you've seen, who's kept records, who's waited for someone to listen. There are a few. Harold, obviously. Tasha, though she's young and scared. Maybe some plant supervisors. Can you reach out? Quietly? Yes, what do I tell them? Tell them there's a way forward. If they're willing to speak, if they're willing to trust. Grace nodded. And if they ask what you're planning? Tell them the truth. I'm planning to expose the corruption, to demand accountability, to rebuild the culture from the ground up. Some will be too afraid. I know, but some won't be. Grace stood. She touched Nadine's hand briefly, a gesture of solidarity. I'll reach out today, Grace said. She left. Nadine sat alone. She felt less isolated, less powerless. Her phone buzzed. Miguel, can we meet? I need to talk to you. She hesitated. She still felt the sting of his silence. But she needed him, his financial expertise, his access. She typed back. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Diner on Oak Street. I'll be there. Nadine finished her coffee. She looked out the window. The city moved around her. Busy, alive, uncaring. But she was building something, piece by piece, ally by ally. She drove home. She spent the afternoon reviewing Grace's documents. Each page tightened her resolve. At 5 p.m., her phone rang. Unknown number. Dr. Carter, this is Janet Moore. I worked in HR until last year. Yes? I heard what happened. I wanted you to know I kept copies. Exit interviews, complaint files, things that were deleted. Nadine's breath caught. Why did you keep them? Because I knew they were hiding something. I just didn't know who to tell. Can you send them to me? Yes. But Dr. Carter, be careful. They're watching. They know you're building something. The call ended. Nadine sat in the quiet. They were watching. She knew that. But she was not alone anymore. The next morning, Nadine returned to the coffee shop. Grace arrived at 9. She carried the file box again. She set it on the table between them. "I went through everything last night," Grace said. "I organized it by type: discrimination complaints, safety violations, financial irregularities. How far back do these go?" 20 years, maybe more." Nadine felt the weight of it. 20 years of silence, of suffering, of injustice buried. She pulled out a folder. Promotion reviews, 2015-2020. She opened it. Spreadsheets, names, ratings, demographics. The pattern was clear. Black employees rated lower, promoted less, paid less, even with identical performance. "Did HR ever investigate this?" Nadine asked. "They reviewed it once, said the differences were due to subjective factors. Then the report disappeared." Nadine's jaw tightened. She pulled out another document. Plant Safety Audit, 2018. Pages of violations, equipment failures, training gaps. All stamped, acknowledged, no action required. "Why no action?" Nadine asked. "Cost." Richard pushed back, said the plant was profitable as is. Why spend money fixing what wasn't broken? But it was broken. Yes, but profit mattered more than people. Nadine closed the folder. She felt anger tighten her chest. She felt grief for the workers who suffered. Who died? "Grace, why did you save all of this?" Grace's hands folded on the table. Her eyes were fierce, tired. "I grew up in the South. I watched my father lose jobs for speaking up, for demanding dignity. I promised myself I'd document everything, so someday someone could use it." "You've been waiting a long time." "Yes, but you're worth the wait." Nadine felt something crack in her chest. Gratitude, responsibility, fear. "I need you to testify," Nadine said. "When the time comes, in front of the board, maybe in front of regulators." Grace's breath caught. "That could cost me my pension, my reputation." "I know. I wouldn't ask if there was another way." The silence stretched. Grace stared at the file box. Her life's work, her quiet rebellion. "I've spent 38 years being silent," Grace said. "Watching, documenting, hoping someone would care. And now? Now I'm done being silent." Her voice was steady, certain. "I'll testify," Grace said. "Whatever you need." Nadine reached across the table. She placed her hand on the lid of the box. "We're going to use this," Nadine said, "but not to burn it all down, to rebuild it right." Grace nodded. Tears filled her eyes. She blinked them back. "When?" Grace asked. "Soon. I'm meeting with Miguel tonight. If he's with us, we'll have the financial piece. Then we move. And if he's not, then we move anyway." They sat together. Two women, separated by age and experience, united by something stronger. Outside, the morning sun broke through the clouds. Light filled the coffee shop. Nadine felt hope rise, small, fragile, real. She gathered the box. She carried it to her car. She placed it in the trunk, carefully, reverently. This was not just evidence. This was Grace's legacy, the workers' stories, the foundation of justice. Nadine drove home. She spent the day organizing, creating folders, building timelines, preparing. At 5:30, she drove to the diner. She arrived early. She chose the same booth, away from the windows, private. At 6 p.m., Miguel arrived. He looked tired. His tie was loose. His face was drawn. He sat across from her. He did not speak. "Thank you for coming," Nadine said. "I almost didn't." "Why?" "Because I'm ashamed of what I didn't do, of what I considered doing." Nadine studied him. She saw guilt, fear, regret. "Tell me what happened," she said. Miguel's voice was quiet, strained. "Richard offered me the CEO position, permanent, with a significant raise, stock options, security for my family." In exchange for what? My silence. My endorsement of their decision to fire you. A public statement saying you were unstable, unreliable. Nadine felt anger rise. She pushed it down. And? She asked. I told him I needed time. He gave me 48 hours. That was 2 days ago. Yes. What's your answer? Miguel's eyes found hers. They were red, exhausted. I can't do it, he said. I can't lie. I can't be part of this. Nadine felt relief flood through her. She had not realized how much she needed him. Even if it costs you everything? She asked. Even then? The silence stretched. Nadine slid a folder across the table. Edward's transfer documents. The letter. Miguel opened it. His eyes widened. You have controlling interest? Yes. Edward gave it to me before he died. To protect the company from Richard. Does Richard know? He knows now. I sent the notice yesterday. Miguel's hands shook. He stared at the papers. This changes everything, he said. Yes, but I need your help. I need you to review the financials, find the irregularities, the shell companies, the misallocated funds. You think Richard's been stealing? I think he's been prioritizing profit over people, and I think the numbers will prove it. Miguel closed the folder. He met her eyes. I'll do it. But Nadine, you need to know, if I go against Richard, he'll destroy me. He'll try, but you won't be alone. Who else is with us? Grace, Tasha, Harold, maybe more. Miguel nodded slowly. The fear was still there, but something else had replaced it. Determination. All right, he said. I'm in. Nadine felt something shift. The hidden power was no longer hers alone. It was shared, distributed, stronger. Thank you, she said. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get worse before it gets better. They left the diner together. The parking lot was dark, cold. Miguel walked to his car. He turned back. Nadine, I'm sorry for not speaking up sooner. I know, but you're speaking now. That's what matters. He drove away. Nadine stood alone. The night was quiet. The stars were hidden, but she felt less alone than she had in days. She got in her car. She drove home. She placed Edward's documents beside Grace's files. The pieces were coming together. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. Miguel sat in his office. The door was closed. The lights were dim. He stared at his computer screen. Quarterly projections, budget allocations, numbers that used to make sense, but now they felt wrong, corrupt, poisoned. His phone buzzed. Richard, need to see you. Now. Miguel felt his stomach drop. He stood. He straightened his tie. He walked to Richard's office. Richard sat behind his desk. He smiled. Warm. False. Miguel, come in. Close the door. Miguel closed the door. He sat. His hands gripped the armrests. I wanted to check in, Richard said. See how you're settling into the interim role. It's fine. Good, good. You're doing excellent work. The board is impressed. The words felt rehearsed, calculated. Thank you, Miguel said. Richard leaned forward. His eyes were cold, sharp. I also wanted to remind you, we need unity right now. Nadine is making noise, legal threats, accusations. It's important that leadership present a united front. Miguel felt his chest tighten. What kind of accusations? Nonsense, claims of discrimination, financial misconduct. She's desperate, trying to save face. Is any of it true? The silence stretched. Richard's smile faded. Of course not. But perception matters. If people start believing her lies, it damages all of us. Miguel nodded. He said nothing. I need to know you're with us, Miguel. That you support the board's decision. That you understand Nadine was a liability. Miguel's mind raced. He thought of the diner, of Nadine's documents, of Edward's letter. I support the company, Miguel said carefully. That's not what I asked. Richard's voice was sharp now, threatening. I asked if you support the board's decision to remove Nadine Carter. Miguel felt trapped, cornered. His career hung on this moment, his family's security, his future. I trust the board made the decision they thought was best, Miguel said. Richard studied him, measuring, calculating. That's good, Miguel, because loyalty matters, and loyal people have bright futures here. He slid a folder across the desk. Miguel opened it. Permanent CEO appointment. Miguel Alvarez effective date. TBD contingent upon board approval and public endorsement of recent leadership decisions. Miguel stared at the document. His dream, his ambition. Right there. All he had to do was lie. Think about it, Richard said. You have 24 hours. Miguel left the office. His hands shook. He walked back to his office. He closed the door. He sat in the dark. He thought of his wife, his kids, his aging parents. He thought of the mortgage, the college funds, the life he had built. Then he thought of Nadine, walking through that hallway, humiliated, alone. He thought of the workers at the plant, the safety violations, the ignored complaints. He pulled out his laptop. He opened the financial files. He started digging. Hours passed. The office grew quieter. People left for the evening. Miguel stayed. He found the first irregularity at 8 p.m., a consulting fee, paid to a shell company, owned by a board member. He kept digging. By 10 p.m., he had found 6 more. Inflated bonuses, misallocated budgets, plant maintenance funds redirected to executive compensation. His stomach turned. He felt physically sick. At 11 p.m., he found the worst one, a safety equipment purchase order, approved, funded, then canceled. The money disappeared into operational expenses. 3 months later, Charlie died. Equipment failure. The report blamed operator error. Miguel's hands trembled. He printed the documents. He locked them in his filing cabinet. His phone buzzed. Richard, have you made your decision? Miguel stared at the message. His future hung in the balance. He could say yes, secure his position, protect his family, look the other way. Or he could say no, risk everything, stand with Nadine, fight for what was right. His phone buzzed again. Richard, appreciate your discretion. Big future here for loyal people. The words made Miguel's skin crawl. Loyal people, people who stayed silent, who enabled corruption. He deleted the message. He stood. He looked out the window at the dark city. He thought of his children. What would he tell them? How would he explain that he chose comfort over conscience? He picked up his phone. He texted Nadine. I found something. We need to talk. Her response came immediately. When? Tomorrow. Early. Before anyone else gets in. I'll be there. Miguel turned off his computer. He gathered his things. He left the office. In the parking lot, he sat in his car. He gripped the steering wheel. His breath came hard. He had made his choice. There was no going back now. He drove home. His wife was asleep. His kids were asleep. The house was quiet. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if he had just destroyed his family's future or saved his soul. Nadine met Miguel at the diner at 6 a.m. The sun had not risen yet. The parking lot was empty. Miguel arrived with a briefcase. His eyes were hollow. He looked like he had not slept. They sat in the same booth, away from the windows. Private. Are you all right? Nadine asked. No, but I'll survive. He opened the briefcase. He pulled out a stack of documents, spreadsheets, bank records, payment authorizations. I spent all night going through the financials, Miguel said. What I found, it's worse than I thought. Show me. Miguel spread the papers across the table. He pointed to line items. Shell. Companies. Inflated fees. Redirected funds. Richard and 3 board members have been siphoning money for years. Consulting fees that never consulted. Bonuses tied to performance metrics they manipulated. Plant budgets gutted to fund executive compensation. Nadine felt anger tighten her chest. How much? Millions, maybe tens of millions. And the plant safety incidents? Miguel pulled out another document. Charlie's death, the equipment failure, the canceled purchase order. They knew the equipment was failing. They had the budget to fix it. They chose not to. Nadine's breath caught. Charlie died because they wanted to save money? Yes. The silence was heavy. Crushing. Can you prove this? Nadine asked. Every transaction is documented, signed, approved. It's all there. Why didn't anyone catch it before? Because I was the only one who saw the full picture, and I didn't look closely enough. I told myself it was just creative accounting, aggressive optimization. I didn't want to see the truth. His voice broke. Nadine saw the guilt in his eyes, the shame. You see it now, she said. Yes, and I can't unsee it. Nadine pulled out her own folder, Edward's transfer documents, the letter. She slid them across the table. Miguel's eyes widened. What is this? He asked. Edward's final gift. He gave me controlling interest 3 months before he died. He knew Richard would destroy the company. He wanted someone to stop him. Miguel stared at the documents. His hands trembled. You have the power to remove Richard? Yes, and the board, if necessary. Why didn't you use it before? Because I didn't know how bad it was. I thought maybe we could negotiate, reform from within. And now? Now I know. Reform isn't enough. We need a reckoning. Miguel closed the folder. He met her eyes. If you do this, they'll come after you. Harder than before. They'll destroy your reputation. They'll make you the villain. I know. And they'll come after everyone who helps you. Me, Grace, Tasha, Harold, we'll all be targets. I know that too. The silence stretched. Nadine's voice was steady, certain. But if we don't do this, nothing changes. The corruption continues. The workers suffer. And everyone who comes after us learns that fighting back is futile. Miguel nodded slowly. The fear was still there, but something else had replaced it. Resolve. What do you need from me? He asked. I need you to document everything, every transaction, every decision, every cover-up. I need an airtight case. How long do I have? Days, maybe a week. Richard will move fast once he knows we're building something. What happens after? We go public, internal town hall. We show the employees everything. We force the board to respond. Miguel's jaw tightened. That's nuclear. Yes, but it's the only way to ensure transparency, accountability, change. He gathered the papers. He placed them back in the briefcase. I'll have everything ready by the end of the week, he said. Thank you, Miguel. Don't thank me. I should have done this months ago. They left the diner as the sun rose. The sky turned gold. Pink. Beautiful. Nadine felt something shift. The midpoint had arrived. The hidden power was no longer hidden. The alliance was real. She drove home. She spent the day organizing, planning, preparing for the battle ahead. At noon, her phone buzzed. Tasha. I finished compiling the data. Promotion patterns. Review disparities. Demographics. It's worse than I thought. Nadine called her. How bad? Black employees are 40% less likely to be promoted. Women are paid 15% less for the same roles. Older workers are targeted in every round of layoffs. Can you send me everything? Already encrypted and sent. Dr. Carter? What are you going to do with this? I'm going to make sure everyone sees it. The board, the employees, the regulators? They'll know it came from me. Only if you want them to. You can remain anonymous. Tasha was quiet. Then, no, I want my name on it. I want people to know I stood up. Nadine felt pride swell in her chest. Thank you, Tasha. Thank you for giving me something to stand up for. The call ended. Nadine sat in her kitchen. She looked at her parents' photo. The pieces were assembled. Grace's documents, Miguel's financials, Tasha's data, her controlling interest. The weapons were gathered. The battle was coming. She felt afraid. She felt ready. For the first time since the firing, she felt powerful. Tasha sat at her desk. The office was busy. Phones rang. Keyboards clacked. Normal. But nothing felt normal. She had spent the last 3 nights compiling data. Promotion rates, performance reviews, demographic breakdowns. The patterns were unmistakable, systemic, deliberate. Black employees were rated lower, promoted less, paid less, even when their performance was identical. Women were passed over, older workers were pushed out. The discrimination was documented, quantified, undeniable. Tasha had saved everything to an encrypted drive. She hid it in her notebook. She told no one. But someone knew. At 10 a.m., her supervisor appeared at her cubicle. Mark, mid-40s, careful smile. Tasha, do you have a minute? Her stomach dropped. Of course. Great, let's talk in conference room C. She followed him. Her heart pounded. Her hands were cold. Conference room C was small, windowless. Mark closed the door. Have a seat, he said. She sat. He sat across from her. His expression was concerned, friendly, false. I wanted to check in, Mark said. See how you're doing after recent events. I'm fine. Good, good. It's been a difficult week. Dr. Carter's departure was unexpected. Tasha said nothing. She waited. I also wanted to ask about some reports, Mark said. Data analyses, promotion tracking, demographic studies. Her breath caught. What about them? They seem to have been deleted from the shared drives. We're trying to understand what happened. Did you have access to those files? Tasha's mind raced. She could lie, deny everything, protect herself, or she could tell the truth, risk everything, stand with Nadine. I compiled those reports, Tasha said. Mark's smile faded. Why? Because Dr. Carter asked me to analyze promotion patterns, to identify areas for improvement. And the deletion? I don't know how they were deleted, but I have backups. The silence was heavy. Mark leaned forward. Tasha, you're a talented analyst. You have a bright future here, but you need to be careful. Dr. Carter's departure was complicated. Aligning yourself with her narrative could be damaging. What narrative? Claims of discrimination, accusations of misconduct. It's not helpful, and it's not accurate. Tasha felt anger rise. She thought of the data, the patterns, the evidence. The data doesn't lie, she said quietly. Mark's expression hardened. Data can be misinterpreted. Context matters. I provided context. The disparities are real. That's your opinion. It's mathematics. The tension crackled between them. Mark stood. I need you to delete those backup files, he said, for the sake of the company, for your career. Tasha stood. Her legs shook. Her voice was steady. No. Excuse me? I won't delete them. The data is accurate. People deserve to see it. Mark's face flushed. You're making a mistake, Tasha, a big one. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. She walked to the door. She opened it. She left. Her hands trembled as she returned to her desk. She gathered her things, her notebook, her encrypted drive. She could be fired, blacklisted, destroyed professionally, but she would not be complicit. She texted Nadine. They know. They asked me to delete everything. Nadine's response came immediately. What did you say? I said no. Are you safe? For now. But I don't think I can stay here much longer. Come to my house. Tonight. We'll figure this out together. Tasha felt relief flood through her. She was not alone. She had made the right choice. At 5 p.m., she left the office. She felt eyes follow her, whispers, judgments. She drove to Nadine's house. The evening was cold, dark. She knocked on the door. Nadine answered. She looked tired, determined. She invited Tasha inside. They sat in the living room. Tasha handed over the encrypted drive. This is everything, Tasha said. 5 years of data, promotions, reviews, salaries, layoffs, all broken down by race, gender, age. Nadine plugged it into her laptop. She reviewed the files. Her jaw tightened. This is extraordinary work, Nadine said. Will it help? Yes. It proves the pattern, the intent. Combined with Grace's documents and Miguel's financials, it's undeniable. Tasha felt tears push at her eyes. Relief, fear, pride. What happens now? She asked. Now we prepare, we build the case, we go public. And me? You choose. You can remain anonymous. Or you can stand with us publicly. Either way, I'll protect you. Tasha thought of her daughter, her classes, her fragile stability. She thought of Dr. Carter, walking through that hallway, humiliated, fighting back. She thought of what she would tell her daughter someday, about courage, about integrity. I'll stand with you, Tasha said. Publicly. Nadine's eyes softened. Are you sure? Yes. Someone has to be willing to speak. It might as well be me. Nadine reached across. She touched Tasha's hand. Thank you, Nadine said. You're braver than you know. I'm terrified. Good. That means you understand what's at stake. Tasha left an hour later. She drove home. Her daughter was with a babysitter. Safe. Innocent. Tasha sat in her car. She stared at her phone. A message from Mark. HR wants to meet tomorrow. 9 a.m. mandatory. She knew what that meant. They would pressure her, threaten her, try to break her. But she had made her choice. She typed back. I'll be there. She closed her notebook over the encrypted drive. She whispered to herself. Someone has to stand. It might as well be me. Tomorrow would be hard, but tonight, she felt proud. Miguel spent 3 days locked in his office. He told his assistant he was working on budget projections, urgent, confidential. The truth was darker. He pored over ledgers, cross-referenced accounts, traced payments through shell companies and offshore accounts. Every number told a story. Every transaction revealed a choice, and the choices were corrupt. On the first day, he found inflated consulting fees, payments to companies that existed only on paper, owned by board members, their families. On the second day, he found bonuses, tied to performance metrics. But the metrics were manipulated, targets lowered retroactively, awards guaranteed. On the third day, he found the plant budgets, and his stomach turned. Maintenance funds, safety equipment, training programs, all cut, redirected, funneled into executive compensation packages. He pulled up the safety incident reports, cross-referenced them with budget decisions. Every incident was preceded by a budget cut. Every complaint was followed by inaction. Then he found Charlie Martinez, equipment operator. Plant 4, age 37. Married. 2 kids. Died 6 months ago. Equipment failure, hydraulic press, malfunction. The incident report blamed operator error, said Charlie failed to follow safety protocols, but Miguel found the purchase order, safety equipment upgrade, approved 18 months before Charlie's death, funded, then canceled. The money disappeared into operational expenses. 3 weeks later, Richard received a $500,000 bonus, tied to cost optimization. Miguel felt physically sick. He stood. He paced. His hands shook. Charlie died because Richard wanted a bonus. A man lost his life. His kids lost their father. For money. Miguel sat down. He printed every document, every ledger, every payment authorization. He locked them in his filing cabinet. He made digital copies, encrypted, backed up. His phone buzzed. "Richard, emergency board meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m. Need you there." Miguel stared at the message. His heart raced. He typed back, "I'll be there." He knew what the meeting was about. Nadine, the legal notice, the controlling interest. Richard would rally the board, strategize, plan their defense. Miguel had a choice: attend, stay silent, protect himself, or refuse, stand with Nadine, risk everything. He looked at Charlie's file, the photo clipped to the incident report. Young, smiling, alive. Miguel's jaw tightened. He picked up his phone. He called Nadine. "Miguel?" she answered. "I have everything. The financials, the cover-ups, all of it." "How bad?" "Worse than you imagined. They've been stealing for years, and Charlie, they let him die to save money." The silence on the line was heavy. "Can you prove it?" Nadine asked. "Every transaction is documented, signed, approved, it's ironclad." "Send me copies, encrypted." "Already done." "What about the board meeting tomorrow?" Miguel hesitated. His career hung on this moment, his family's future. "I'm not going," he said. "Are you sure?" "Yes. If I attend, I legitimize their process. I become complicit. They'll retaliate." "I know, but I can't sit in that room and pretend I don't know what they've done." Nadine's voice was quiet, grateful. "Thank you, Miguel, for your courage. Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning." He hung up. He sat in his office. The evening light faded. The building emptied. His phone buzzed again. "Richard, appreciate your discretion. Big future here for loyal people." Miguel stared at the message. The words felt slimy, corrupting. He deleted it. He typed a new message. "Richard, I won't be attending tomorrow's board meeting. I'm withdrawing my acceptance of the interim CEO position, effective immediately." He hit send. His hands trembled. His breath came hard. 3 minutes later, his phone rang. "Richard." Miguel let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. Voicemail. Another call. Same. Voicemail. A text. "We need to talk. Now." Miguel turned off his phone. He gathered his things. He locked his office. In the parking lot, he sat in his car. He gripped the steering wheel. His future had just collapsed. His security. His career. But his conscience was clear. He drove home. His wife was waiting, worried. "What happened?" she asked. "I quit." "You what?" "I resigned. From the interim position, from the company, all of it." "Miguel, why? What about the kids? What about—" "I found something bad, and I couldn't be part of it anymore." He told her everything. The corruption, the stealing, Charlie's death. She listened, her face pale, her hands tight. When he finished, she was quiet. Then she hugged him. Hard. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. "We might lose everything. We'll survive, but I couldn't live with you if you stayed silent." Miguel felt tears burn his eyes. Relief, fear, love. They sat together. The house was quiet. Their kids were asleep upstairs. Safe. Innocent. Miguel had made his choice. There was no going back. But for the first time in years, he felt clean. Nadine convened the meeting in a small conference room, off campus, away from headquarters, a law office downtown. She arrived first. She arranged the chairs in a circle. Equal. No hierarchy. Grace arrived next. She carried her worn file box. She set it on the table carefully. Miguel came third. He looked exhausted, relieved. His tie was gone. His jacket was wrinkled. Harold arrived last. He hesitated at the door. His face was drawn, uncertain. "Come in, Harold," Nadine said. "Close the door." He entered. He sat. He looked around at the others. "Why are we here?" Harold asked. "Because we all know something's wrong," Nadine said. "And we're tired of pretending we don't." She opened Grace's file box. She pulled out documents, discrimination complaints, safety violations, cover-ups. Miguel added his financials, shell companies, inflated fees, Charlie's death. Tasha's data was already on Nadine's laptop. Open, visible. Harold stared at the evidence. His hands gripped his knees. "I've suspected for years," Harold said quietly. "The plant budgets, the safety shortcuts. But I told myself it wasn't my place to question." "And now?" Nadine asked. "Now Charlie's dead, and I didn't speak up. I let it happen." His voice broke. Grace reached across. She touched his hand. "We all let it happen," Grace said. "By staying silent. By being afraid." "What are we supposed to do?" Harold asked. "Richard controls everything. The board, HR, legal." "Not everything," Nadine said. She pulled out Edward's documents, the transfer of controlling interest. The letter. Harold's eyes widened. "You own the company?" "I control the shares, yes." Edward wanted someone who would protect the workers, not exploit them. "Does Richard know?" "He knows. He received the legal notice 3 days ago." Miguel leaned forward. His voice was steady. "Richard and the board have been embezzling millions. They've cut safety budgets to fund their bonuses. They've systematically discriminated against black, female, and older employees, and they've covered it all up for years." The silence was heavy. Harold's face had gone pale. "What happens when this comes out?" Harold asked. "Chaos," Miguel said. "Investigations, lawsuits, possible criminal charges. And us? We'll be targets," Nadine said. "Richard will attack our credibility, our motives, our characters." "Then why do it?" Harold asked. Nadine met his eyes. Her voice was calm, certain. "Because if we don't, nothing changes. The corruption continues. More people get hurt, and we carry that shame for the rest of our lives." Harold's chest tightened. He thought of his pension. 2 years from retirement. His wife's medical bills. "I can't afford to lose my job," he said. "I know, and I won't force you to risk it. But I need to know what you know. The plant safety, the incidents, the cover-ups. Are you willing to share that? On the record?" Harold's hands shook. He stared at the documents on the table. "If I speak up, they'll destroy me." "Yes, they'll try." "And if I don't?" "Then you'll watch more people die, and you'll know you could have stopped it." The silence stretched. Harold's breath came hard. He thought of Charlie. Young, dead, preventable. He thought of his grandchildren. What would he tell them? That he chose comfort over conscience? "What do you need from me?" Harold asked. "A statement. Everything you know about the safety violations, the budget cuts, the pressure to stay quiet." "When?" "Soon. We're planning an internal town hall. We'll present everything publicly. To the employees. Force the board to respond." Harold's jaw tightened. Fear and determination warred in his eyes. "All right," he said. "I'll do it." Nadine felt gratitude flood through her. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. I should have done this years ago." They spent the next hour organizing. Grace documented the discrimination patterns. Miguel outlined the financial fraud. Harold detailed the safety violations. Tasha's data tied it all together. The evidence was comprehensive, undeniable, devastating. At 4 p.m., Nadine's phone buzzed. A notification. Company-wide, all-hands town hall. This Friday, 2 p.m. Mandatory, leadership transition and future direction. Nadine's stomach dropped. Richard was moving first. He's trying to control the narrative, Miguel said. How long until Friday? Grace asked. 2 days, Nadine said. That's not enough time to prepare, Harold said. It has to be. If Richard gets his story out first, we've already lost. Tasha looked at her phone. It's all over the company message boards. People are scared, confused. Nadine stood. She paced. Her mind raced. We need to be at that town hall, she said. We need to present our evidence before Richard can spin his version. Will he let you speak? Grace asked. He won't have a choice. I'm the controlling shareholder. I have the legal right. He'll try to stop you, Miguel said. Let him try. Nadine felt something shift. The battle was coming faster than she expected. But she was ready. I need each of you to prepare your statements, Nadine said. Written, clear, factual. Bring copies. We'll distribute them at the town hall. What if he has us removed? Harold asked. Then we go to the press, to regulators. We make sure the truth comes out no matter what. They agreed. They gathered their documents. They prepared to leave. At the door, Grace turned back. Dr. Carter, are you sure about this? Once we step into that town hall, there's no going back. Nadine thought of the hallway, the humiliation, the faces watching, her fall. She thought of Charlie, of the workers, of everyone who suffered in silence. I'm sure, Nadine said. We're doing this together. They left. Nadine stood alone in the conference room. She looked at the evidence spread across the table. The weapons were assembled. The army was gathered. Friday would change everything. Nadine's attorney filed the official notice the next morning, a formal assertion of her controlling interest, a demand for an emergency audit. The documents arrived at the board's offices at 9 a.m., delivered by courier, signed, sealed, legal. Nadine waited at home for the response. Her phone was silent. The morning stretched. At 11 a.m., Marcus called. They received it, he said. And? Richard postponed the subcommittee meeting, cited careful legal review, asked for 48 hours. Nadine felt cautious hope rise. That's good, right? They're taking it seriously? Maybe. Or they're strategizing, preparing their counter. What do we do? We wait, see how they respond. The call ended. Nadine paced her kitchen. She reviewed the town hall preparation. Friday, 2 days away. At noon, her phone buzzed. Grace, something's happening. Check the news. Nadine opened her laptop. She searched for the company name. A headline appeared. Business Daily. Former Holm and Carter CEO under investigation for financial irregularities. Her stomach dropped. She clicked the link. Sources close to the Holm and Carter board report that Dr. Nadine Carter, recently departed CEO, is under investigation for financial mismanagement and erratic leadership decisions. The board cited concerns about unauthorized transfers and questionable allocation of company resources. Dr. Carter resigned abruptly last week, amid mounting concerns about her performance. Nadine felt rage burn through her chest. Every word was a lie. Carefully crafted, deliberately vicious. She called Marcus. Did you see it? Yes, it's a preemptive strike. They're poisoning the well. They're lying. I never resigned. I never mismanaged anything. I know, but they have anonymous sources. They control the narrative right now. What do? We respond, issue a statement, correct the record. Will anyone believe us? Some will, some won't. But we have to try. Nadine hung up. She felt isolated, vulnerable, exposed. Her phone buzzed constantly, texts, emails, questions. Is it true? What happened? Why didn't you tell us? She wanted to scream, to explain, to defend herself, but the lies were already spreading, faster than truth ever could. At 2 p.m., she returned to headquarters. Her badge still worked. Security waved her through. She walked to her office. People stared, whispered. Their eyes were different now, suspicious, judging. She reached her floor. Marcus met her at the elevator. "Dr. Carter, I'm sorry. They've restricted your access." "To what?" "Your office, the executive floor, all company systems." "On what grounds?" "Pending investigation. Board directive." Nadine felt humiliation wash over her again. "I own this company, Marcus." "I know, but they're claiming the ownership transfer is under dispute. Until it's resolved, you're considered an outside party." "That's insane." "That's their strategy." Nadine stood in the hallway. Her office door was 30 feet away, locked, guarded. She turned around. She walked back to the elevator. People watched. No one spoke. In the parking lot, she sat in her car. Her hands gripped the steering wheel. Her breath came hard. She called Miguel. "Did you see the article?" "Yes, it's character assassination. They're winning. People believe it." "Not everyone. Grace doesn't. Harold doesn't. Tasha doesn't. I don't. But the employees do. The public does." Miguel was quiet. Then, "We have 2 days until the town hall. We focus on the evidence, the truth. We ignore the noise." "What if no one listens?" "Then we make them listen." The call ended. Nadine sat in silence. She felt defeated. Small. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Dr. Carter, this is Elena from Plant 4. I saw the article. I don't believe it. Charlie trusted you. We trust you. Don't give up." Nadine felt tears burn her eyes. Relief. Gratitude. Resolve. She was not alone. The workers knew. They remembered. She drove home. She spent the afternoon preparing, reviewing evidence, writing her statement. At 6 p.m., Grace called. "Are you all right?" "No, but I'm still standing." "Good, because I have more names. Plant workers who want to speak, who want to testify." "How many?" 12 so far. Maybe more by Friday." Nadine felt hope rise. "They're willing to go public?" "Yes. They saw the article. They know it's lies. They want to fight back. Tell them thank you. Tell them we're going to win this." "Are we?" Nadine thought of the evidence, the allies, the workers willing to stand. "Yes," she said. "We are." But as she hung up, doubt crept back in. Richard was powerful, connected, ruthless, and he had just shown her that he would burn her reputation to the ground to protect himself. She looked at her parents' photo, her father's strong jaw, her mother's steady eyes. "You marched so I wouldn't have to run," she whispered. "I'm not running, but I'm scared." The evening turned to night. The house was quiet. The city hummed outside. Nadine sat at her kitchen table. She reviewed the town hall plan. She read Elena's text again. "Don't give up." She wouldn't. She couldn't. Friday was coming. The battle was coming. And she would be ready, even if it cost her everything. Thursday morning, 24 hours before the town hall. Nadine's phone rang at 7 a.m. Richard. She almost didn't answer, but she needed to know what he was planning. "Dr. Carter," Richard said. His voice was smooth, professional. "Richard, I'd like to meet, privately, to discuss a resolution." "A resolution?" "Yes, I think we can find a path forward that works for everyone." Nadine felt her stomach tighten. "When?" "This afternoon. My office. 2 p.m. "I'll be there." She hung up. She called Marcus immediately. "Richard wants to meet, privately." "That's a trap," Marcus said. "I know, but I need to hear what he's offering." "I'm coming with you." "No, he wants me alone. If I bring you, he'll cancel." "Nadine, I'll record everything. I'll be careful." The call ended. Nadine dressed. Navy suit, pearl earrings, the armor. At 2 p.m., she walked into headquarters. Security checked her badge twice. Again. She rode the elevator to the executive floor. Her heart pounded. Her hands were steady. Richard's assistant showed her in. Richard stood behind his desk. He smiled. Warm, generous. False. "Nadine, thank you for coming. Please, sit." She sat. She kept her phone in her pocket, recording. Richard sat across from her. He folded his hands. His expression was concerned. Regretful. "I wanted to reach out," Richard said, "before things escalate further." Escalate? "The town hall tomorrow, the legal notices, the accusations, it's damaging. For everyone." "You damaged me first." Richard's smile faded slightly. That was unfortunate, but necessary. The board felt I needed to be humiliated publicly. We felt a leadership change was required. The execution could have been better. I acknowledge that. Nadine said nothing. She waited. Richard slid a folder across the desk. Thick, official. "I have a proposal," he said. "A way to end this quietly, with dignity." She opened the folder. Settlement agreement, buyout terms, $8 million, immediate payment. She read further. Non-disclosure agreement, non-disparagement clause, no public statements, ever. $8 million, Richard said. Full severance, excellent references, a graceful exit. In exchange for my silence. In exchange for moving forward. Nadine, you're a talented executive. You'll find another position easily, but if this fight continues, your reputation will be destroyed. No one will hire you. Nadine felt the weight of his threat, the careful calculation behind the offer. And the workers? She asked. The safety violations? The discrimination? We'll address those internally, with proper oversight. Like you've been addressing them for 20 years? Richard's jaw tightened. I'm offering you financial security, freedom, a chance to walk away before this gets ugly. It's already ugly. It can get worse, much worse. The articles you've seen? That's just the beginning. We have resources you don't, connections, influence. We can make sure you never work in this industry again. Nadine felt fear tighten her chest. She thought of her reputation, her career, her legacy. She thought of the photo of her parents, the workers at the plant, Elena's text. She looked at the settlement agreement. $8 million. Freedom from this. Fight. All she had to do was disappear. I need time to think, she said. You have until 6 p.m. After that, the offer expires. Nadine stood. She gathered the folder. Richard stood with her. I hope you'll make the right choice, Richard said. For yourself. For your future. She walked to the door. She turned back. What about Charlie's family? She asked. What do they get? Richard's expression didn't change. That's been handled appropriately. Appropriately? A standard settlement. Confidential. Sufficient. Nadine felt rage burn through her. You let him die for a bonus, and you think money makes that appropriate? I think accidents happen, and we've fulfilled our legal obligations. The silence stretched. Nadine saw him clearly now. No remorse, no conscience, only calculation. I'll give you my answer by 6, she said. She left. She walked through the hallway, past the staring faces, past the whispers. In her car, she sat in silence. She stared at the folder. $8 million. Freedom, safety. All she had to do was let Richard win. Her phone buzzed. Grace, how did it go? Nadine typed back. He offered me money to disappear. What will you do? Nadine stared at the message. She thought of Charlie, of Elena, of everyone waiting for tomorrow. I'll tell him tomorrow. She drove home. She placed the settlement agreement on her kitchen table. She stared at it for hours. At 5:30, she made her decision. She called Richard. He answered immediately. "Have you decided?" he asked. "I need until tomorrow, after the town hall." "That's not acceptable." "That's my answer. You'll have it tomorrow, after I speak." She hung up. She felt her hands shake, her heart race. She had just refused the easy way out, the safe way. Now there was no turning back. Richard sat in his office. The call with Nadine had ended badly. She was not taking the settlement. He needed another angle, another pressure point. He picked up his phone. He called Miguel. Miguel answered on the third ring. "Yes?" "Miguel, we need to talk." "About what?" "About your future. Can you come to my office, now?" Miguel hesitated. "I resigned, Richard. I'm not coming back." "This isn't about coming back. This is about protecting yourself." The line went quiet. "Then, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Richard smiled. Fear was useful. Predictable. Miguel arrived at 6 p.m. He looked exhausted. His tie was gone. His shirt was wrinkled. Richard gestured to a chair. Miguel sat. "I'll be direct," Richard said. "Nadine is making accusations. Financial misconduct, safety violations, discrimination, serious accusations." "I know. She's using your name, your analysis, your financial reviews." Miguel's jaw tightened. "I documented what I found." "You documented selective information, without context, without understanding the bigger picture." "The bigger picture is theft and negligence." Richard's expression hardened. "Careful, Miguel. You're treading into dangerous territory." "Am I?" "Yes. Because if these accusations become public, you'll be implicated. You were the CFO. You signed off on those budgets, those transfers, those decisions." Miguel felt his stomach drop. "I didn't know." "Doesn't matter. Your signature is on the documents. If there's an investigation, you'll be questioned, possibly charged." "That's insane." "That's reality, unless you distance yourself, publicly." Richard slid a document across the desk. Statement of clarification. Typed. Official. Miguel read it. His breath caught. "I, Miguel Alvarez, former CFO of Holman Carter Logistics, clarify that financial decisions during my tenure were made with board approval and proper oversight. Recent accusations by Dr. Nadine Carter reflect her misunderstanding of standard corporate practices and do not reflect any misconduct." "You want me to call her a liar," Miguel said. "I want you to protect yourself." "By throwing her under the bus. By telling the truth. She's desperate, vindictive. She's trying to destroy this company because she couldn't handle the pressure of leadership." Miguel stared at the document. His hands shook. Richard leaned forward. His voice was soft, persuasive. "Think about your family, Miguel. Your wife, your kids, their future. If you sign this, I'll make sure you're protected. No investigation, no charges, a generous severance, excellent references. And if I don't, then you go down with her. Simple as that." Miguel felt trapped, cornered. His mind raced through options. None were good. "I need time to think," Miguel said. "You have until tomorrow morning, before the town hall." Miguel stood. He left without another word. In the parking lot, he sat in his car. He gripped the steering wheel. His breath came hard. His phone rang. His wife. "Miguel, where are you?" "Still at the office. Something came up." "Are you okay? You sound upset." "I'm fine. I'll be home soon." He hung up. He stared at the steering wheel. He thought of his kids, their college funds, their futures. He thought of Nadine, walking through that hallway, fighting back. He thought of Charlie, dead, preventable. His phone buzzed. A text from Nadine. "Richard will try to break you. Don't let him. We're stronger together." Miguel felt tears burn his eyes. Fear, shame, determination. He typed back. He already tried. I said no. Are you sure? Miguel thought about it. Really thought about it. His family, his conscience, his future. Yes, I'm sure. I'm with you. Tomorrow. All the way. He started the car. He drove home. His wife was waiting, worried. What happened? She asked. Richard tried to buy my silence. What did you say? I said no. She hugged him, hard. I'm proud of you. We might lose everything. We'll survive. We always do. Miguel held her. He felt afraid. He felt certain. Tomorrow would change everything. But he had made his choice. He would stand with Nadine, no matter the cost. Nadine needed clarity. She needed to remember why she was fighting. She drove to Plant 4 Thursday afternoon. The factory floor was loud. Machines hummed. Workers moved with practiced efficiency. She walked through the main entrance. No announcement, no escort. A supervisor noticed her. His eyes widened. Dr. Carter, what are you doing here? I needed to see the plant, talk to people. Is that all right? He hesitated, then nodded. Of course. Let me show you around. They walked the floor. Nadine saw the equipment. Old, maintained but aging. She saw the workers, focused, careful, exhausted. She stopped at a workstation, a woman in her 40s. Name tag, Elena. Elena? Nadine asked. The woman turned. Recognition flashed in her eyes. Dr. Carter, you came. I wanted to thank you for your text. It meant everything. Elena smiled, sad, grateful. Charlie was my cousin. He died right over there. She pointed to a hydraulic press. Cleaned, operational, ordinary. I'm so sorry, Nadine said. They blamed him. Said he made a mistake. But I know that machine. It was failing for months. We reported it. Nothing happened. I know. I found the records. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Are you really going to fight them? Tomorrow? Yes. Will it help? Will it change anything? Nadine felt the weight of the question, the hope behind it. I don't know, but I have to try. Other workers gathered, slowly, cautiously. They listened. An older man stepped forward. Name tag, James. We heard what they did to you, the firing, the lies. Yes. That's what they do to us, every day, just smaller, quieter. A younger woman spoke. When I asked for better safety gloves, they said budget cuts, but the executives got new company cars. Another voice. I filed a discrimination complaint. It disappeared. HR said there was no record. The stories piled up, one after another. Years of neglect, abuse, silence. Nadine felt their pain, their exhaustion, their hope. Tomorrow at the town hall, Nadine said, I'm going to show everyone what's been happening. The corruption, the discrimination, the safety violations, all of it. Will they listen? Elena asked. I don't know. But you deserve to be heard. James stepped closer. What do you need from us? Nothing. You've already given enough. That's not true. We want to help. How? Let us come. To the town hall. Let us stand with you. Nadine felt her chest tighten. You could lose your jobs. We're losing our dignity, James said. That's worse. Elena nodded. Charlie died because they chose profit over people. If we stay silent, he died for nothing. Nadine looked at their faces. Tired, determined, brave. All right, she said. Come tomorrow, stand with me, tell your stories. They agreed. 12 workers, maybe more. They would travel to headquarters. They would speak. Nadine left the plant at dusk. The sky was orange, gold, beautiful. She sat in her car. She felt less alone, less afraid. Her phone buzzed. Marcus, are you ready for tomorrow? She typed back. Yes, the workers are coming. They're going to testify. That changes everything. I know. She drove home. The city lights blurred past her windows. She thought of the workers, of Charlie's death, of Elena's courage. This was not about her anymore. It never was. This was about dignity, justice, change. She would fight for them, even if it destroyed her. She pulled into her driveway. She sat in silence. She looked at her house. Small, safe, temporary. Tomorrow she would step onto a stage. She would expose everything. She would risk everything, and she would not be alone. Thursday night. Nadine could not sleep. She sat at her kitchen table. Documents spread before her. Evidence, statements, truth. Her phone buzzed. Email notification. She opened it. Business Daily. Nadine Carter's questionable past. Former colleagues speak out. Her stomach dropped. She clicked the link. Sources close to Dr. Carter's previous employers describe a pattern of aggressive behavior and difficulty accepting feedback. One former colleague stated, "She always seemed to have a chip on her shoulder. Any criticism was interpreted as discrimination." Another noted, "She was competent but difficult to work with, always playing the victim." Nadine felt sick. Every word was calculated, vicious, designed to destroy. Her hands shook. She read further. Questions have also emerged about the legitimacy of Edward Holmes' transfer of controlling interest. Legal experts suggest the elderly founder may have been experiencing cognitive decline when he signed the documents, raising questions of undue influence. Nadine closed the laptop. She felt tears push at her eyes. Rage, humiliation, despair. They were not just attacking her credibility. They were attacking Edward's memory, her character, her entire life. Her phone rang. Marcus. "Did you see it?" he asked. "Yes. It's character assassination, pure and simple. It's working. People will believe it. Not everyone. Enough will. Marcus, maybe I should take the settlement. Walk away. This is destroying me." "Is that what you want?" Nadine looked at the settlement agreement, still on her table. $8 million. Freedom. Safety. "I don't know anymore. I'm so tired." "Nadine, listen to me. They're doing this because they're scared. If you weren't a threat, they wouldn't fight this hard." "I don't feel like a threat. I feel like I'm drowning." "You're not. You have evidence, allies, the workers, the truth." "Truth doesn't matter if no one believes it." The silence stretched. Marcus's voice was gentle. "What would your parents tell you right now?" Nadine looked at their photo. Her father's strong jaw, her mother's steady eyes. She remembered her mother's words after she was denied a promotion, after a white colleague was chosen instead. "They want you to quit. That's the goal. To make you so tired, so beaten, that you walk away. Don't give them that satisfaction." "They'd tell me to stand," Nadine whispered. "Then stand." The call ended. Nadine sat in the quiet. She thought of Elena, of Charlie, of the workers willing to risk everything. She thought of Grace. 38 years of documenting, waiting, hoping. She thought of Miguel, walking away from his career, his security. She thought of Tasha, young, scared, standing anyway. They had all bet on her, trusted her, believed in her. Could she abandon them now? Her phone buzzed. A text from Grace. "I heard about the article." "Don't believe it. We know who you are." Another text. "Miguel, they're trying to break you. Don't let them." Another. "Tasha, tomorrow we fight back. Together." Another. "Elena, Charlie believed in you. So do we." Nadine felt tears fall. Relief. Gratitude. Resolve. She was not alone. She never was. She stood. She walked to the settlement agreement. She picked it up. She tore it in half. Then in quarters, then smaller, until it was confetti on her table. She felt her breath steady, her fear transform into anger, into determination. They wanted her to disappear, to be quiet, to accept humiliation as her final chapter. She would not. She would stand tomorrow, she would tell the truth, she would fight, even if it cost her everything. She looked at her parents' photo. She touched the frame gently. "You marched so I wouldn't have to run," she whispered. "I'm not running, not anymore." She gathered her documents. She organized her statement. She prepared. At midnight, she finally lay down. She did not sleep. But she was ready. Tomorrow would change everything. Tomorrow was the reckoning. Friday, 2 p.m. The auditorium was full. Employees filled the seats, hundreds of them, some curious, some afraid, all watching. Nadine stood at the back. She wore her navy suit, pearl earrings, the armor one last time. Grace stood beside her, Miguel on her other side, Harold behind them, Tasha nearby. The plant workers clustered together, a small army. Marcus stood near the door. A regulatory observer from the State Labor Board sat in the front row. Notebook ready? Richard took the stage. He smiled, confident, commanding. "Thank you all for coming," Richard said. "I know this week has been difficult, confusing. I wanted to address the rumors, the accusations, the uncertainty." The room was silent. Everyone watched. "As you know, we recently parted ways with Dr. Nadine Carter. This was not an easy decision, but the board felt it was necessary for the company's future." Nadine felt anger tighten her chest. She stepped forward. "Unfortunately, Dr. Carter has made serious accusations, baseless accusations, about financial misconduct, discrimination, safety violations." Richard's voice was calm, reasonable, persuasive. "I want to assure you, these accusations are false. They reflect one person's bitterness, her inability to accept responsibility for her failures." Nadine walked down the aisle, slowly, deliberately. Every eye turned to her. Richard stopped mid-sentence. His expression flickered. Surprise, anger, fear. "Dr. Carter," Richard said, "this is a closed meeting, for current employees only." Nadine reached the stage. She climbed the steps. She stood beside him. "I am the controlling shareholder of this company," Nadine said. Her voice was steady, clear. "I have every right to be here." The room erupted. Whispers, gasps, confusion. Richard's face flushed. "That's under legal dispute." "No, it's not. Edward Holm transferred controlling interest to me 3 months before he died, with full legal capacity. His attorney is here. The documents are notarized, recorded, legitimate." She gestured to Marcus. He stood. He held up the folder. "I'm happy to distribute copies," Marcus said. Richard's jaw tightened. "This is inappropriate." "What's inappropriate," Nadine said, "is lying to these people. They deserve the truth." She turned to face the audience. Her heart pounded. Her hands were steady. "May I address the room?" she asked. Richard hesitated. The regulatory observer leaned forward, watching, waiting. "You might want to hear what she has to say," the observer said quietly. Richard stepped back, defeated, furious. Nadine took the microphone. She looked out at hundreds of faces, some sympathetic, some skeptical, all waiting. "You deserve the truth," Nadine said. "All of it." Nadine projected the first document onto the screen behind her. Edward's letter, handwritten, clear. "To whom it may concern, I, Edward Holm, being of sound mind and body, transfer controlling interest of Holm and Carter Logistics to Dr. Nadine Carter. I do this to protect the company from those who would prioritize profit over people. I trust her to lead with integrity. Edward Holm." The room was silent, stunned. "Edward came to me before he died," Nadine said. "He was ashamed of what the company had become. He wanted to fix it. He gave me the power to do that." She clicked to the next slide. Grace's documents, discrimination complaints, disappearing files. For 20 years, complaints of discrimination have been filed, and for 20 years they've disappeared. Grace Holloway, executive assistant, kept copies, because she knew someday someone would need them. Grace stood. The room turned to look at her. "I saved everything," Grace said. Her voice was strong, clear. "Every complaint, every incident, every cover-up, because I knew this day would come." Nadine clicked again. Tasha's data. Charts, graphs, numbers. Black employees at this company are 40% less likely to be promoted. Women are paid 15% less for identical work. Older workers are targeted in every layoff. This is not opinion. This is mathematics. Tasha Reed compiled this data. She risked her job to bring you the truth. Tasha stood, young, trembling, brave. "The data doesn't lie," Tasha said. Nadine clicked again. Miguel's financials, shell companies, inflated bonuses, redirected funds. "The board has embezzled millions, consulting fees paid to fake companies, bonuses tied to manipulated metrics, plant budgets cut to fund executive compensation." Miguel stood. His voice was steady. "I was the CFO. I signed some of those documents. I didn't look closely enough. I was complicit through my silence. But I'm not silent anymore." The room erupted. Whispers, shock, anger. Nadine clicked again. Plant safety audits, violations, deferred repairs, Charlie's death. Charlie Martinez died 6 months ago. Equipment failure. The report blamed operator error, but the truth is different. She showed the purchase order. Safety equipment. Approved, funded, canceled. The equipment that killed Charlie was scheduled for repair 18 months before his death. The funds were approved, then canceled. That money went to executive bonuses instead. Elena stood. Tears streamed down her face. "Charlie was my cousin," Elena said. "He had 2 kids. He died because they chose profit over his life." The room was silent now, the weight of the evidence crushing. Nadine turned to face Richard. He stood frozen, his face pale, his hands clenched. "You humiliated me," Nadine said. "You made me read a resignation I never wrote. You fired me in front of everyone. You wanted them to see me fail." She stepped closer. Her voice was calm, certain. "You said my leadership no longer aligned with shareholder interests. You were right. Because the only shareholder who matters gave me control to stop people like you." She held up the termination notices. Printed, signed, official. "After careful consideration, it is the decision of the controlling shareholder that your services, Richard Holm, are no longer required, effective immediately." The room gasped. Richard's face turned red. "You can't." "I can, and I am. You're fired, Richard, along with 3 board members complicit in this corruption. Security will escort you out." 2 security guards appeared at the side of the stage. They moved toward Richard. "This is insane!" Richard shouted. "I built this company." "No," Nadine said quietly. "You exploited it, and everyone in it. That ends today." Richard was escorted off the stage. The room erupted. Some applauded. Some sat stunned. Some cried. Nadine waited for silence. She took a breath. "I know this is overwhelming," she said. "I know some of you are afraid, confused, angry. You have every right to be." "What happens now?" someone called out. "Now we rebuild. We create an ethics and safety council, workers, managers, executives, all levels. You'll have a voice in every decision. We'll implement transparent promotion practices, regular audits, real accountability." "Can we trust you?" another voice asked. Nadine felt the weight of the question. "I can't make you trust me. I can only show you. Through actions, transparency, consistency. That's all I ask. A chance to prove that this company can be different." She looked at the plant workers, at Grace, at Miguel, at Tasha. These people risked everything to bring you the truth. They're the real heroes, not me. The room was quiet. Then someone stood. Elena. She started clapping. Another person stood, then another, then dozens. The applause grew, not unanimous, but real. Nadine felt tears push at her eyes. Relief, exhaustion, hope. She stepped off the stage. Grace hugged her. Miguel nodded. Tasha smiled. The battle was over. The war had just begun. But they had won something today. Truth, dignity, a chance. That was enough. The boardroom felt different now. Smaller. Less intimidating. Nadine sat at the head of the table. The seat she had never been offered before. Now hers by right. The remaining board members sat along the sides. Quiet. Uncertain. "Let's be clear," Nadine said. "3 of you are fired. The rest stay on probation, subject to external oversight and independent audit." They nodded. No one argued. "You'll cooperate fully with regulators. You'll provide all documents requested. You'll testify honestly. Am I clear?" "Yes." Nadine felt no satisfaction, only exhaustion. At 2 p.m., she met with Richard. One last time. Private. No cameras. He sat across from her. Smaller now. Deflated. Furious. "You destroyed me," Richard said. "No, you destroyed yourself. My father built this company. Your grandfather built it. Your father maintained it. You corrupted it." Richard's hands clenched. "I could have given you everything. Money, power, respect. You threw it away." "I didn't throw anything away. I chose integrity over comfort." "Integrity," Richard spat. "You're naive. You think this changes anything? Companies like this don't change. People like you don't win." Nadine met his eyes. Calm. Certain. "I already won. Not against you. Against the idea that corruption is inevitable, that workers are disposable, that dignity is negotiable. You'll regret this. Maybe. But I won't regret staying silent." She stood. "Security will escort you out. Don't come back." Richard left. Bitter. Broken. Gone. Nadine sat alone in the boardroom, the room that had humiliated her, that had tried to erase her. Now it was just a room, empty, powerless. At 4 p.m., she convened the first meeting of the Ethics and Safety Council. 12 people, workers, managers, analysts, all levels, all voices. Tasha presented her analysis. Grace shared her documentation. Harold detailed safety improvements. Elena spoke about Charlie, about what change would mean to workers. They created policies, real policies, transparent promotion criteria, independent safety audits, anonymous reporting systems. Miguel agreed to stay temporarily, to stabilize finances, to ensure proper oversight. "I'll stay 6 months," Miguel said. "Then I'm done. I need to rebuild my own integrity." "Thank you," Nadine said. "That's more than fair." At 6 p.m., the council adjourned. People left, grateful, hopeful, exhausted. Nadine stood at the window. She looked out at the city. The sun was setting. Gold. Orange. Beautiful. Grace appeared beside her. "How are you holding up?" Grace asked. "I'm tired, but I'm standing." "That's all we can ask." "Grace, why did you trust me? After all those years?" Grace smiled. Sad. Wise. "Because you reminded me of someone." "Who?" "Me. 40 years ago. Idealistic. Determined. Believing change was possible." "What happened?" "I got tired. I got scared. I stopped fighting. I started documenting instead. And now? Now I'm fighting again, thanks to you." They stood together. 2 women. Different generations. Same battle. "What happens next?" Grace asked. "We work. We rebuild. We prove that corporations can be different. And if we fail, then we fail trying. That's better than not trying at all." Grace nodded. She left. Nadine stood alone in the empty boardroom. The room no longer owned her story. She owned it. She had fought. She had won. Not revenge. Justice. That was enough. 6 months later. Nadine stood in Plant 4. The factory floor gleamed. New equipment. New safety protocols. New hope. A memorial plaque hung near the entrance. In memory of Charlie Martinez, may his legacy inspire us to choose people over profit. Always. Elena stood beside her, tears in her eyes, pride in her voice. "Thank you," Elena whispered. "Thank you for trusting me." The plant hosted a community event. Workers, families, children, celebrating safety milestones, scholarship programs, change. Tasha presented a report on promotion fairness. Her voice was confident, strong, no longer afraid. In the past 6 months, promotion rates have equalized across all demographics. Pay disparities have been corrected. Anonymous reporting has increased 300%. The data shows real change. The crowd applauded. Tasha smiled. She had found her voice. Grace sat in the front row. Retired now, but present. Witness to the change she had helped create. Harold chatted with workers about safety improvements. He looked lighter, unburdened. Miguel had left 3 months ago. A graceful exit. He sent a card. "Thank you for showing me what integrity looks like. I'll carry that lesson forward." At noon, Nadine returned to her office. Smaller now. She had moved out of the executive suite, chose a space on the same floor as the analysts. Her assistant brought in mail. Letters, emails, messages from around the country. One letter caught her eye. Handwritten. Personal. "Dr. Carter, my name is Jennifer Walsh. I was just pushed out of my executive role at another company. They humiliated me publicly. Made me feel small. Disposable. I was ready to walk away quietly. Then I read your story. How did you survive? How did you find the courage to fight back?" Nadine sat at her desk. She pulled out paper. She began to write. "Dear Jennifer, I didn't survive by being fearless. I survived by being afraid and doing it anyway. Here's what I learned." She wrote about documentation, about finding allies, about choosing truth over comfort. She wrote about the cost, the attacks, the doubt, the nights she wanted to quit. She wrote about the workers who stood with her, who reminded her why the fight mattered. You don't fight back by becoming like them. You fight back by being better, by choosing integrity, by refusing to let humiliation be your final chapter. Stand. Even when you're shaking, especially when you're shaking, because the people watching need to see that fighting back is possible. She signed the letter. She placed it beside her parents' photo. Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Holman Carter Logistics named industry leader in workplace ethics. Dr. Nadine Carter credited with cultural transformation. Nadine read it. She felt nothing. No pride, no satisfaction, just quiet certainty. The real victory was not the headline. It was Elena's smile, Tasha's confidence, the workers' safety. That was legacy. At 5 p.m., Nadine left the office. The evening was warm. Spring had arrived. She drove home. She walked into her house. Quiet. Simple. Hers. She made tea. She sat at her kitchen table. She looked at her parents' photo. "You marched so I wouldn't have to run," she said. "I didn't run. I stood. I hope that makes you proud." The house was quiet. Peaceful. The battle was over. The work continued. But Nadine had proven something. To herself. To the workers. To everyone watching. Humiliation was not the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of courage, of justice, of change. She placed Jennifer's letter beside the photo. A reminder. A promise. The fight was never just about her. It was about everyone who came after. She had shown them a path. Now they could walk it. Nadine closed her eyes. She felt tired. She felt peace. She finally knew she was enough.